The metal collar bit into Valen's neck as the guard yanked the chain forward, forcing him to stumble up the gleaming crystal steps of the Istrian palace. 6 months ago, he had been a free man, a pilot for the Earth Defense Fleet. Now he was nothing but property, a peace offering from Earth's surrendered government to the victorious alien empire. "Move faster, human," the guard hissed, giving the chain another sharp tug. Valen gritted his teeth but kept his eyes downcast. He'd learned that looking an Istrian in the eyes was considered a challenge. The last human who'd done that in front of him had lost an eye for his insolence. The grand hall stretched before them, impossibly vast with ceilings that seemed to disappear into the heavens. Crystalline structures caught the light of 3 moons visible through the transparent dome above, casting prismatic patterns across the polished floor. Istrian nobles lined the hall, their silver-green skin shimmering with bioluminescent patterns that pulsed with curiosity or disgust as he passed. "The human tribute from Earth's Western Coalition," announced a tall Istrian in elaborate ceremonial armor. "A warrior-class specimen as requested." Valen kept his breathing steady, though his heart hammered against his ribs. He'd heard stories about the Istrian queen, how she collected exotic specimens from conquered worlds, how humans in her possession rarely survived a full cycle of their largest moon. "Approach." The voice was melodic yet authoritative, cutting through the hushed whispers of the court. Valen was pushed forward until he stood at the base of a floating throne that hovered 3 feet off the ground. Only then did he risk a glance upward. Queen Thalia of the 7th Istrian dynasty wasn't what he expected. Where most Istrians were tall and willowy, she was more compact, her frame powerful rather than fragile. Her silver-green skin had deeper emerald undertones, and instead of the typical white or silver hair of her species, wild crimson curls framed her face like a lion's mane. Most startling were her eyes, gold with vertical pupils that narrowed as she studied him. "Remove his restraints," she commanded. The royal attendant balked. "Your Radiance, the human is not properly docile yet." "I did not ask for your assessment." Her voice remained calm, but the bioluminescent patterns across her skin flared bright with irritation. "Remove them." Valen felt the collar release with a click, falling away from his raw skin. He resisted the urge to touch his neck, keeping his arms rigid at his sides. "Leave us," the queen ordered, "all of you." A ripple of shocked murmurs spread through the court, but no one dared question her directly. Within moments, the vast hall emptied until only Valen and Queen Thalia remained. She descended from her floating throne with fluid grace. Up close, she was shorter than he'd realized, the top of her head reaching just past his shoulders. Yet her presence filled the space between them, commanding and intense. "Do you have a name, human?" she asked. "Valen Ryder, your Radiance." His voice was rough from disuse. "Look at me, Valen Ryder." He hesitated, then raised his eyes to meet hers. Instead of anger, he found curiosity in her gaze. "On Earth, they tell stories about me," she said, circling him slowly. "What do they say?" "That you collect humans, that we don't last long in your collection." A strange expression crossed her face. Was that amusement? "And yet you show no fear." "I've learned to hide it well." The corner of her mouth lifted. An honest answer, refreshing. She stopped in front of him. "The stories are wrong. I have never kept human slaves before you." Valen frowned. "Then why accept me as tribute?" "Politics is a complicated game." The queen reached out, her fingers hovering near the raw skin of his neck but not touching. "And you, Valen Ryder, are a particularly valuable piece." "Because I was a pilot." Queen Thalia's luminous patterns shifted to a gentler pulse. "Because you are exactly what I need to save both our worlds from a war that would destroy everything." She turned away, gesturing for him to follow. "Come, we have much to discuss, and these walls have too many ears." Confused but intrigued, Valen took his first steps as the queen's possession, and somehow it felt strangely like freedom. Queen Thalia's decision to appoint Valen as her personal attendant sent shockwaves through the Istrian court. As the first human to hold such a position, Valen found himself the subject of intense scrutiny and barely concealed hostility. "Hold still," Thalia commanded, adjusting the ceremonial vest that marked his new status. The garment was surprisingly light, woven from a material that seemed to shift colors with his movements. "Your council members look ready to execute me," Valen muttered. watching the reflection of several high-ranking Astrians in the polished wall behind them. Thalia's bioluminescent patterns flickered with amusement. They fear what they don't understand, and they understand very little about you or me. In the weeks that followed, Valen shadowed the queen through her daily duties. He learned that Astrian society functioned on intricate hierarchies based on bioluminescent pattern intensity, something Thalia possessed in abundance, marking her as exceptionally powerful even among her kind. The patterns serve as both communication and power indicators, explained Kelvik, the only council member who treated Valen with anything resembling respect. The elderly Astrian's own patterns had faded with age, but his eyes remained sharp. Our queen's patterns are the brightest in 3 generations. What Kelvik didn't explain, but Valen soon discovered, was that several ambitious nobles considered Thalia's progressive policies dangerous. Chief among them was Commander Draxus, whose military support had been crucial in Thalia's ascension to the throne. The human should not be present for strategic discussions, Draxus insisted during a council meeting, his skin flashing aggressive red-tinged patterns. The human has a name, Thalia replied coolly, and Valen stays. Later that night, as Valen helped the queen organize ancient texts in her private library, she unexpectedly touched his hand. The contact sent an electric current through his body. "They will try to turn you against me," she said quietly, "Draxus especially." "I wouldn't betray you," Valen responded, surprised by his own conviction. Thalia studied him, her golden eyes unreadable. "Why, I am your captor." "Are you?" He held her gaze. "It doesn't feel that way anymore." Something changed in her expression, vulnerability, perhaps. "What does it feel like?" Valen hesitated, then took a dangerous chance. He slowly raised his hand to her face, giving her time to pull away. When she didn't, his fingers gently traced the luminescent pattern along her cheekbone. The light pulsed brighter at his touch. "It feels like something neither of us expected," he whispered. Thalia's crimson curls brushed against his wrist as she leaned almost imperceptibly into his touch. For a moment, they weren't queen and captive, just 2 beings standing at the edge of something profound and frightening. "This cannot happen," she finally said, stepping back. "Not yet, there's too much at stake." That night, alone in his quarters, Valen realized 2 unsettling truths. He was falling in love with the alien queen who owned him, and someone was watching his every move, waiting for him to make a mistake that could be used against them both. The attack came during the Festival of Ascending Moons, when the palace's security was focused on managing the crowds. Valen was adjusting Queen Thalia's ceremonial headdress in her private chambers when the first explosion rocked the foundation of the palace. "Stay here," Thalia ordered, reaching for a concealed weapon. Valen caught her arm. "With respect, Your Radiance, I'm not leaving your side." The door burst open before she could argue. Kelvik stumbled in, a gash across his forehead leaking blue-tinted blood. "They've taken the East Wing," he gasped. "Draxus has declared you unfit to rule. The Purification Guard is executing your loyalists." Thalia's face hardened. "The emergency passage, now." They fled through a hidden corridor as the sounds of fighting grew closer. Valen, trained in Earth's military before his capture, instinctively moved to shield Thalia. When they reached the palace gardens, a squadron of Draxus's soldiers intercepted them. "Surrender the queen," their leader demanded. "Leave now," Valen countered, "and you might survive this night." The soldier laughed and raised his weapon. Valen moved with speed that surprised even himself, disarming the soldier and using the alien weapon to incapacitate 3 others before they could react. The rest retreated, but not before one fired a shot that would have killed Thalia had Valen not pulled her aside, taking a grazing hit to his shoulder. They escaped into the dense forest beyond the palace grounds. Kelvik had fallen behind, promising to rally loyal forces. As midnight approached, they found shelter in an abandoned shrine deep in the woods. "Let me see your wound," Thalia insisted, her patterns glowing softly to illuminate the small space. "I'm fine," Valen said, though pain radiated from his shoulder. "You saved my life." Her voice was thick with emotion as she applied a healing salve from a pouch at her waist. "Why?" "You know why." In the intimate darkness, pretenses seemed pointless. Thalia's fingers stilled on his skin. "I am a queen, you are." "A human, a slave." Valen finished for her. Is that still how you see me? No, she whispered, not for a long time. Her admission broke something between them. Valen reached up, tangling his fingers in her crimson curls, and pulled her closer. Their lips met hesitantly at first, then with increasing certainty. Her skin glowed brighter where he touched her, bathing them in ethereal light. When they finally separated, Thalia's patterns were pulsing in a way Valen had never seen before. Rapid, intensely bright, almost chaotic. Your patterns, he began. They reflect my emotions, she explained, looking both embarrassed and exhilarated. This is not something I can hide. Valen smiled, tracing the luminescent lines down her neck. Then don't. That night, as rebellion raged in the capital, they surrendered to the feelings they'd been fighting since the day they met. Their differences, human and Astrian, captive and queen, faded into irrelevance as they discovered each other in ways neither had imagined possible. Morning found them entangled, Thalia's head resting on Valen's chest, when Kelvic's urgent message arrived via a small hovering communication orb. The palace had fallen. Draxus was hunting them. And there was something about Valen that Thalia needed to know, something that explained why he had really been sent to her.